Hey, welcome to the first episode of Beyond Behaviour. This is going to be a short weekly mini-series that I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be about child development, my experience as a father, and really everything that I've learned and I talk about, but a little bit more in depth. Today we're going to be focusing on physical development. I remember when Freya was born, and the first few months, I was just fascinated by how she moved, how she picked things up, the way she looked at them, the way she manipulated them, and just that unfolding of all of these new things in her mind. She was only about 3 months old, and I used to do these little gym workouts with her to get her to strengthen her neck, her core, and eventually crawling and standing and walking and then running and climbing and more complex movements. But one thing I also noticed was how even though young children find it very difficult to do certain things, they actually have a very high frustration tolerance. They intuitively want to move, but obviously encounter difficulties. They don't really know what they're meant to do, so they don't get too frustrated. It's only when they really try so much and they know what it is that they're meant to get that they get extremely frustrated. The reason why physical development was the thing that resonated with me the most was because all the other areas of development, from cognitive to social and emotional, they were going at a much slower rate. Now, I'm not saying that physical development is more important than the other areas of development, but physical development moves at a much higher rate at the very beginning. And it does three major things. The first thing it does is it expands their access to the world. So when a child is able to stand, walk, run, climb, and eventually build things, they have more access to different experiences. And as a result, they get to explore more, which leads to them being able to solve more problems, deciding and ultimately learning from those experiences. And the second thing it does, it creates developmental cascades. So physical development isn't just a physical skill, it actually triggers other areas of development as well. So let's say a 1.5-year-old is outside playing with their sibling or someone else, and they're trying to climb something. So physically, they're trying to work out how to climb. And when they do that, they're obviously dealing with setbacks. And they might fall. So now they have to emotionally regulate themselves, but also they're planning. So cognitively, they're thinking, right, I need to place this here because I'm trying to go there and I'm trying to do this thing. And if you are doing the climbing, now they're actually developing socially because they're following what you're doing. If a child is trying to climb something and they're physically kind of able to do it, but they've hit some kind of difficulty, now they're having to express that difficulty, but they can't quite say the words, but they're sort of babbling away. And that's the first sign of them wanting to use language to be able to express their frustration. And one area where they're capable in has now triggered another area that they now need to increase their capacity in. And now they need another skill to be able to get over that hurdle. So it's kind of like, I can do this, but I can't do this bit, but I need to let someone know about it, but I need a skill to be able to tell them about it. And the third thing it does, it develops control, adaptation, and mastery. When a child is doing something physically, they have to manage their strength, their balance, they have to be more intentional, they have to control their impulses, timing, attention. All of those are just firing up. They're trying, they fail. They work out what they need to do differently next time, so they readjust to that, and then they try again, and eventually they succeed. And that could happen literally over a few seconds. And that's why it's so important to have thousands of these situations where they can physically engage with something so they can trigger all of those at the same time. And the bottom line is this. If a child feels like they can do something and they can really assert themselves through something physically, and so for a child to have independence, it's not that they're looking for a choice. They want to know that they can control their body to achieve a certain goal and to be able to do that with full agency. Everything I talked about here falls under a child's capability, a child's capacity. The other side of this is actually the parent's capacity. How much tolerance, how much capability does a parent have in order to be able to see these capacities in the child and be able to actually help them develop these capacities? So that's actually the two sides of this situation. So inside the community, we discuss everything that's related to a parent's capacity and how they need to increase that. What are the skills we need as parents to be able to become more understanding and capable of dealing with these situations? How can we see our child and read what it is that they need to develop, and depending on the situation, tailor our response to their actual capabilities? And what can we do to help our children increase their capacity and their capabilities? If you'd like to join the community, just comment steady right here and I'll send you an invite. If you get very involved with your child's development from the earlier days, this becomes a practice, just the way you are, in terms of being able to see what they're going through and adjust to it accordingly so you can help them develop. And one last thought, a child's capability is hugely related to how well we can see and nurture that capacity that they are either lacking or that they need more improvement in.